A super common question that I get asked is how long will it take to secure board seats and how long will it take to develop a board portfolio? So it depends on a couple of factors. Firstly, what is the base from which you are starting? So assuming you are have been a reasonably senior business executive, you have reported to boards in the past, so you're not starting from a completely flat start. You will find that if you are really serious about this work and you have a very clear strategy for securing the right roles, that it is possible to secure a new board seat each quarter of the year. So typically we see our clients securing a new board seat every 3 months. And that's when they've got a clear strategy, clear value proposition, clear insights into themselves and what they bring to the table, and are executing perfectly to secure those opportunities. And that's a realistic goal to achieve a board seat each quarter, but it does need that initial foundation to be correct. So you do need to have had a level of experience, some exposure to the board. Many executives these days have typically had a main employment contract, and they might have had an external board seat, whether that be a not-for-profit, an industry board, a startup, or a small private enterprise. So a lot of clients now are coming to the table with a good sort of starting point, but that's kind of the reality. And in my experience, an executive who is super determined and wants to do this correctly, within 12 to 18 months, they have the foundations of their board portfolio. Now, that's if they're doing this full time and they're really putting all their efforts into the business networking, the thought leadership strategy, connecting to the right people at the right time. So if that is occurring, and they're systematically building on each board seat, so they get the few stepping stone board seats to start, and then they go up into higher profile, higher complexity board roles, potentially with higher remuneration. Within 12 to 18 months, you're seeing quite solid results. And I would expect an executive who's been doing this, full time and has put all of their efforts into it, they would have 3 to 4 board seats by that 12 to 18 month mark. Now, financially, it might not be as rewarding as all the individuals might like. The reality is it does take some time to build up the remuneration, particularly if you're starting out in the board career market. So it's a little bit unrealistic to think that you're going to hit numbers like 500,000 in the first year, unless you've got some sort of magic way of securing really high profile ASX board appointments, and they typically come later in the board career journey. So unless you're getting those really super high, high profile, high paid board seats, and maybe you're being invited into the boardroom, the reality is we more likely see that first to second year board portfolio is sitting around the 250 to maybe 350 mark. And that's a good realistic number to aim for, keeping in mind that the average board seat pays around about 60, sometimes up to about 70,000 per annum, depending on the number of board seats. So, you can do the sums, how many board seats do you need? What do they generate in terms of income? And what do I need to be able to achieve that? But I just wanted to give you those kind of typical formulas that we see, because I think it's important to understand the paradigm and how you go about in that period. Now, conversely, I'll just make one comment, which is probably going to be a bit controversial, but if after 12 or 18 months of really trying everything you possibly can do, it could mean one or two things. Either your strategy to go to market is incorrect, or it's fundamentally flawed. You might have been given well-intentioned advice, but you're doing everything wrong. And I suspect, one of those aspects might be you're applying for advertised board roles, which is a really flawed strategy, or you're not going to make it. And this is the harsh reality of it. I do have a few clients who go really hard, and after 12, 24 months, they still haven't secured anything, in terms of a significant board seat, they're just not resonating with the market. They don't have a clear enough value proposition. The companies, the boards just aren't seeing the value in appointing that individual. Now, there might be some it will come down to an individual assessment there, but there are some people, I think, who spend a lot of time trying to do this and just don't make it. And underpinning it, it might be that they're just not doing enough of the networking, and it's not part of their makeup to do the networking. They don't enjoy doing the networking. They don't enjoy putting themselves out there. They don't enjoy approaching chairmen and non-executive directors that they've never met before and putting themselves forward. And so really that whole world is not really for them, because unless you're comfortable operating at this senior level, unless you're comfortable making new connections, unless you're comfortable doing a level of outbound reach, you're going to struggle. And you might have to reconsider whether this pathway is really for you. So they're my tips. You've really got to assess where you are on your journey, but realistically, we see a lot of executives who within 12, 18 months have the makings of a really, really interesting, sustainable board portfolio.